I'm aiming for using the most props possible today. We've got a laptop and the screens and extra clickers. My name is Tammi Marcoullier, and I am absolutely thrilled to be here among my people in crowdsourcing and open innovation. I currently work for the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the Public Safety Communications Research Division Innovation Accelerator. We have a thing about a lot of words explaining what we do. Essentially what it comes down to is public safety technology, walkie-talkies, phones, data, photographs, video, all of the things, biometrics that we will be implementing over the next 5, 10, 20 years in the future for the advancement in public safety. Prior to that, this job at NIST, which is in the mountains of beautiful Boulder, Colorado, if anybody wants to gaze at these mountains a little bit and enjoy some winter wonderland. I was the lead developer and manager of Challenge.gov, which is the countrywide platform for crowdsourcing and open innovation for the US government. And we launched that in 2010, and that continues today with more than 700 competitions and $225 million in prizes and more than 100 federal agencies that have participated in engaging with the public in that space. So here today, I'm going to talk to you about how we are taking risks to help people who are taking risks. Imagine that you are walking into a burning building, flames everywhere, with 45 pounds of material on your back. You have a helmet, full mask, gloves that are really thick, full gear, heavy boots, fireproof, waterproof. You have zero visibility. You have heat that is searing. You may or may not have had an indoor map to that place, and you need to find your way to people to rescue them. You have a can of compressed air on your back in a tank that's good for maybe 25 to 45 minutes, and at 6 minutes you're going to get a warning. And how you get through this is you find your way by hand along walls. You crawl, you're down on the floor crawling, maybe even on your stomach, and the whole time that you're doing this, trying to find your way through, you have someone in your ear asking, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" every few seconds. That's your captain, your lead back at the home station, trying to understand where you are so that if your 6-minute warning bell goes off for your air and you don't make it out, somebody needs to know how to go and find you. And we look at these things and we're like, why don't we have the technology to follow people indoors? We think that it exists because we carry our phones around, and this phone tells me where to turn every few feet if I'm trying to find my way around Brussels so I can get to the best beer. But it doesn't work when you're in a fire. It doesn't work under these conditions where a device like this is not easy to use, and with giant gloves on my hands, I can't touch it. These are the problems we're trying to solve for our public safety workers, whether they're firefighters, emergency responders, medics, and people who are out in the field doing all of the work it takes to help us in an emergency situation. What we need to do on our side is we need to develop interior maps that are accurate. We need to know which side of a wall someone is on, whether you're the victim who needs to be saved or you're the person who's going in to save them. And one of the things we learned about public safety workers, especially firefighters, with somebody talking in their ear the whole time about what they're doing, they're using oxygen every time they respond. They just take that button, it's a one-click button, and they turn it off. Now there's no communication. So there are fail points all along the way. Our goal is, in the next 5 years, we're going to invest money in helping solve these problems from a usability standpoint, a technology standpoint, and even a creative standpoint. So what we see now, 6 months ago, we were asking, when we started this program, we were asking people, can we get us down to 1 meter accuracy? I think one of the other speakers last night talked about this, that we're going from 10 meter accuracy to 1 meter accuracy. I'm now going to be looking for, from the crowd, can you tell us down to 1/10 of a meter accuracy of where someone is? Plus having things like wearables to measure your heart rate, to measure temperature, to measure anything in your biometrics or environment sensors. So how we're going to do this. This is what's really exciting. I'm in a very rare position of having about $150 million to spend over the next 5 years to accelerate this technology, to put it out to the crowd, whether they're through prize competitions, micro tasks, or any other type of engagement, where we can ask them to help us solve these problems. We have a timeline because we were awarded the money through a very specific act that allows us to develop the standards. When I talk about NIST being a place for science and technology, we're not actually going to bring that technology in-house. We're going to spur the development of it, and we're going to create the measurements and standards for that. This will impact 60,000 state and local agencies across the United States, 5 million first responders, and 320 million citizens that need these services. Interoperability is the key word here, because right now, none of our public safety workers have systems and communications and technology that talks to each other. So the US is doing this, South Korea is doing this in a really big way, and the UK is also doing this. So we're all talking to each other about how to best make this happen. We're going to work in location-based services, which is that indoor mapping, knowing which floor you're on, elevation, the accuracy around that. Mission-critical voice, which is your walkie-talkies, push-to-talk, and having direct mode when you're offline off the broadband network. And enhanced user interfaces for making the devices, software, and applications work for all public safety workers. Virtual reality, augmented reality, and immersive environments, measuring and setting standards for the effectiveness of these tools, and data analytics, because we have potentially trillions of data pieces for coming from all these disparate sources, and we need this interoperability, storage, sharing, and real-time results. So if you can feel the weight of this project and how much a team of about 40 of us need to do, you can understand why we are grasping at using crowdsourcing and open innovation. Because there are hundreds of millions of people out there with the technical solutions and the creative solutions to these problems that we can work with simultaneously. One of the things I should explain is that why this has to work. How many phone companies do we have here, or telecom companies? We have about 3 or 5 in every country, and you can get into these local companies. The United States is building one entire broadband spectrum just for first responders, completely dedicated to first responders. The same as South Korea and the UK, so that we won't have those interoperability programs. They can all be on one platform, one broadband network, and they can talk to each other and work together, and they will always have access to high-speed internet. We had a situation where there was an earthquake in Washington, D.C., that everybody who was on an iPhone, Verizon lines and AT&T lines, phone stopped working. Nobody could get through. We had BlackBerries, some of us, because they're really old, and all of our BlackBerry text worked. So only people who are on really old systems worked. We'll never have that problem again once FirstNet is launched and once this program is happening. All right, so there's more than one answer to everything here in crowdsourcing. I've heard some talk earlier about our interpretations of what crowdsourcing is. The standpoint that we operate from is open innovation, completely open. I don't need to know what your credentials are. I don't need to know where you went to school. I don't know who your coworker is and what company you've worked for. We're going to put the questions out there. Here's what we need a solution for. Anyone can come and solve this. You can create your own teams. You can come as an individual. You can come as a company. Everyone will be treated completely equally, and we will assess simply what those solutions are. My challenge in NIST and the Public Safety Office is that our scientists and researchers have always been told, go for this solution. So they come up with all of these ideas of how to solve a problem, and they go after a solution. And that narrows us down from all these possibilities into one little funnel, and they could spend 3 or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years on that. And our team is walking in and saying, nope, we're going to totally blow that up. Tell us what your problem is. I'm going to find 100 or 20 or 500 or 1,000 people to work on this. And all of the solutions that come back are viable. We'll get prize money and awards, financial and incentive awards. And they can't wrap their heads around this. Like, but we know what the answer is. And I said, but you don't know all of the answers. So it isn't all about like, you're a winner. I'll be able to say, you're a winner, and you're a winner, and you're a winner, and you're a winner. We have many winners, and then we have many years after we have those winners to assess those solutions, maybe combine them, and bring everyone together to accelerate these technologies really quickly. So the big idea behind this for us is to reward as many viable solutions as possible, and to keep reframing the question to be about solving a problem, not just with one solution, but with any number of solutions. And the rewards. All right, show me the money. Yeah, I said I got $150 million. That sounds great. It's not always about the money. It's about the incentives, too. What can we do that's really going to make people interested? Because if we offer too much money, they're going to think, that's a year-long project, or that's a 2-year-long project, or I'm going to need an entire team and a research lab and things like this. What we really want to do in our sweet spot is co-opt technologies that are emerging or existing in other places and say, how can we turn that into something that's valuable for public safety? And offer incentives that are really important to our entrepreneurs, to our individuals, to small companies. So the first thing that we're going to do is not buy or own the intellectual property. We're going to license it, but 99% of the time, that intellectual property is going to stay with the developer. We think that is a huge incentive. It's very different from what a lot of corporations do, which is, they get someone to develop, and then they want to bring it in, and then they own it, and they can play with it, or they could let it die, whatever happens. We want to stimulate the market and the economy. We're going to leave it in the hands of the developer. And to help them go to the next level, part of our incentive packages involve having judges with entrepreneurial, financial, or business cachet, people who can come in and help them and advise them. We will make introductions to funding and potential purchasers of that IP. We will offer them speaking engagements. We have an annual conference, and they will come and present to the public safety community why their solution is going to work for the audience. We're also engaging with training and entrepreneur accelerators. So if you've heard of some of these startups, accelerators where they bring people in and they spend a weekend or 6 months teaching them how to grow their business, we're going to provide some access to that for some of our winners. We have a deal with a group in Ohio where they have access to about 5,000 manufacturing companies, and they want to partner with us so that if we have people build prototypes, they can work with the manufacturing companies to actually build them and make them happen. So if we have a design and a concept, how can we turn that into reality? And meetings with our internal lead scientists and technologists in the field. So here is a little video for you.
I get this message. At first I'm shocked. Like, oh my gosh, we won. I never win things like this.
I was a little bit popular when I got back.
Yeah, we were ecstatic.
We need to have people who think that we are the solution for this.
I think there's a lot of people out there who have different ideas and they want to make the world a better place. And they have ways to do it, but they just need a vessel to be able to do that. And I think that these challenges are a way for them to do that.
We won second place at the NIH Debut Challenge.
I was attracted by the prize. $50,000 prize was very significant.
$5,000.
I got money for being awesome.
That's the value for us. Those are the people who are the winners. These are people who are sitting around in their universities, in their day jobs, at their startup companies, and they saw some of these prize competitions and they said, yeah, I'll give it a try. The woman who said, I got money for being awesome, she and her business partner were working on a solution for sensors in water to determine issues, some of pollution in water. They thought they were just doing this for their local community. It turned out that it helped solve a national problem. We want to find all of these amazing people around the world and bring them in here, bringing the value to us and taking what we can give them to help them with the solutions in hand, launch their businesses. So our goal is to come up with solutions instead of 3 to 5 years, accelerate that in a year-long time frame. So the impact of this is this massive acceleration for timeline and maximum efficiency for the financial investment. So the ultimate goal is a streamlined interoperability with the technology, data, and access to this LTE network called FirstNet. This is going to go across 60,000 disparate agencies across the country. And what we need to do, because we have just 5 years to spend this money, is to find as many people as possible who will participate and find value in what they're doing. There's a quick audio testing thing that we worked on where when you're in an emergency situation, the sounds are blaring. You're on a walkie-talkie that's fuzzy. You're on a phone that may drop signal at some point. We were bringing people into our lab to test the sound and whether or not people could actually understand the words that were said. This is a 3-month project with 32 subjects, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. We put this out onto a web-based crowdsourcing platform. The first assignment was accepted within 27 seconds. The last one, 5.3 hours after launch. And we did 345 listeners with 1,500 projects in less than a couple of weeks. So the power of this is just really astounding. This is again where we are, closing out. Public safety technology acceleration, voice, location-based services, land mobile radio to LTE, usability, data analytics. We're going out with micro tasks, grants, cooperative agreements, prize competitions, and again, a website here on challenge.gov. We have pscr.gov, grants.gov. This is how people can find out what we're doing, and I am happy to talk about all of this and the strategy behind how we're going to reward and incentivize people and get them excited to bring technology solutions into a research and development atmosphere. So,
great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammi.